and I'm just doing stupid things. I remember one of the like rehydration meals I had was like I cut a whole sourdough loaf of bread down the middle, and then I just shoved eggs, fucking black pudding, square sausage, link sausage down the middle, and I just ate it like a big Scooby-Doo sandwich. And I thought I was doing the right thing.
This week's episode is sponsored by Quest Clothing. Quest have actually sent me out a pair to try. As you can see, they're a pretty cool design. I've wore them for competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the ADCC. They're great for any type of sports and they keep everything nice and compact. I noticed that when I was rolling, they're nice and tight and a great feel. Check them out on Quest Clothing on Instagram. This week's episode, I'm joined by Sean the One Clancy, rising star and potential title contender, Cage Warriors.
Soon, the next title fight in Cage Warriors is James Sheehan versus Justin Burlinson. But if circumstances were different, I'd reckon I would be the next in line.
Well, some of your performances have been outstanding, Sean, but all of them, to be fair. I think I've watched every fight that you've ever had.
Thank you.
Like even the smaller shows that I've seen live, but I've also paid for the pay-per-views, like Evolution of Combat we were talking about. So your last fight was Andre Agostino, and it was it second round KO? Third,
yeah. And it's the longest fight I've had.
Is that the longest fight you've had? Aye. And how were you feeling before the fight then? Did you think it was going to be a challenge, or do you think it went the way that you thought it would?
It was a weird one because we both took the fight in a week's notice. I'd kind of got told that they wanted me on Newcastle, so I had that in the pipeline, but it had been getting closer and closer and closer to not having a fight. So you kind of let your guard down a wee bit, and it was literally the last day. I'd said to Ian, I was like, see if it gets to like Friday or something like that. I think it was Friday, or I can't remember, but it was the last day of it was the last night of the last day where they had said, if it gets to this point in time, we'll call it a day. And the night of the last day, they told me that they'd got me somebody, so my guard was like as let down as I could get it. So it was like 7 or 8 days before the fight we found out that I was fighting somebody, and I was in New York as well. So it was a wee bit nerve wracking in that regard because I hadn't had a proper training camp, which is also really cool as well because you're not like breaking your body down per se, and it's an experience in itself. Like you're enjoying yourself and stuff like that, and you've not got the time to get nervous and stuff like that. Like he took it in a week's notice, I took it in a week's notice. We're literally just showing up and just fighting each other, which is pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. That was probably one of my favourite. Well, it's definitely my favourite fight, but in regards to the lead up to it as well, it was just so different compared to the rest of them because you've got so much time to think. In every other fight, when you've got 12-week camp, you're sitting there constantly just sitting there thinking about this guy, whereas you've got no time to think about him when it's a week. You just find out you're fighting this guy and then you're like, right, cool, I've got nothing else to do, but I can't build a fight camp around this person in a week. That's ridiculous. So all I've got to do is just show up and then fight somebody. So it takes a lot of pressure off as well. But yeah, it was definitely different. I really enjoyed it though. I did really enjoy it.
Aye, and you dropped on me a body shot in the second. Was it? Did you say second? Sorry,
it was the third.
Was it the third?
Yeah, it was the third. Towards it, the first two I'd won. I definitely won the first 2 rounds, but they were closer than any other fight I'd really had. I'd say, and I think because I took it on a week's notice, my weight was still good and stuff like that. The cut wasn't bad, but you take it on a week's notice, you're not your gas tank's not where it should be. You've not I just came back from New York as well, so I'd been to New York and then came back, so I was super jet lagged. He'd obviously came from Brazil as well, so he was obviously jet lagged too, but the fact that I'm going there and coming back, but I just not having a full training camp and stuff like that, my gas tank wasn't where I wanted it to be. It's probably the worst it's ever been for that fight compared to any other one, so I'm glad that I could keep that pace going into the third where I was still able to take him out, if you know what I mean.
You didn't look tired at all.
No, I wasn't mega tired, to be honest. I wasn't of course I wasn't mega tired if I'm able to throw the shots that I was kind of throwing because they were all full power shots in the third round. But yeah, it definitely wasn't the best gas tank I'd had going into any fight, because when I've got all that time to build up my fitness and stuff, literally I could go like 3-5, I could go 5-5s at a really high pace. Like I try really hard, that's something I try really hard to like keep on top of. So this one, knowing that I can keep that pace for 3 rounds and then still take someone out in the 3rd round even after not having all that time to build that up, it was pretty cool. It's gave me confidence in myself, if you know what I mean.
It's quite short notice to take that then. What was your weight like?
I never get mega heavy, man. Everybody always thinks I'm massive. I'm big, frame wise, but weight wise, he was heavier than me, that boy. Going in that fight, he was like 4 kilo heavier than me or something like that. The boy was big, like stocky, and I could feel it when we were grappling. But he'd obviously just like stereotypical Brazilian, like just cut all water weight and not even diet. Probably not even dieted, just sat and cut water weight for the Monday before. But my weight was sitting quite well, to be honest. I always sit roughly between about like 88 and like 87, so it was roughly around about there.
Where is it? 77?
77, yeah. So it's about like a 10 kilo cut, which is about average.
Average, aye. And how did he feel like in the fight then? Because he was quite highly thought of, wasn't he? People were saying it was going to be like a sort of first challenge in Cage Warriors for you.
Yeah. I was getting, like, the people who knew who he was were saying that, but then there was a lot of people that didn't know who he was, who was just looking at the height of him, and they were like, oh, you're going to smoke him and stuff like that, which I hate. Like, I hate it. It adds like stupid, like, I don't want to say pressure, but like it almost takes away from the win, if you know what I mean. When everybody's like, oh, like, yeah, you're just like, look at the height of him, he's nothing, blah 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 blah. It takes away from what I'm doing. So I appreciate the support and stuff like that, and I appreciate like people giving me the confidence and stuff, but like I don't like people like shrugging them off. Like, we're fighters. Do you know what I mean? And he was a good fighter. He had 5 times the experience I had or something like that. I felt very happy about that one.
You've obviously come a long way for your first fight in Headhunters, so that was the next thing I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
What age were you there? 16, was it?
15.
15,
yeah. I was and still am the youngest fighter at a higher level to go through like the full MMA rule set. So it was like a full normal amateur MMA rule set.
Yeah. You won that TKO against Reece Brock.
Yeah.
Do you remember much yet?
I do remember all of it. I've actually been trying to find the interview for after that, but I cannot find it anywhere. It was hilarious. It's like what you can imagine, just giving a 15-year-old horrors of adrenaline. Like, because I finished him in like the 2nd round, like, and I went ham. So like, I was tired after it, because again, you give a 15-year-old adrenaline and you just let him throw as hard as he possibly can for 2 minutes. Like, I was shattered. But after it, I'm still got loads of energy as well. And I just kept swearing the full time, just could not stop swearing.
I think I've seen it actually.
My mum gave me like into so much trouble after it, so I've been trying to find it for ages. But anyway, but the actual fight itself, yeah, I remember Stevie was in my corner for that one as well. Stevie and James were in my corner, and I remember it just giving me so much confidence. Like that, like the other guy must have put so much pressure on him, because everybody looks up to people, like everybody looks up to Stevie. Do you know what I mean? Seeing that in the other corner, yeah, it was really cool. I just thought that's what fighting was like as well. Like, taking him out in the like 1st round, 2 minutes in, I just thought I was a man after it. And then the 2nd fight after that was like a pure scrap with some mad mental Icelandic guy. But it was cool. I still watch that fight sometimes. It was mad.
What was the 2nd show then? Refresh my memory. That wasn't the Evolution of Combat, was it?
It was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was my first Evolution of Combat fight. It was against John Inge. He was an older boy than me.
Right.
Older, bigger, like, and he just knocked like a 25-year-old out like a couple of weeks before. So that was terrifying.
Aye.
Yeah, that was like I think he'd messed my shoulder up that fight as well, because he got me in like a Kimura, and like I never tapped, but after the fight I remember it was like pretty messed up.
I think I can remember that now that you say that actually.
Yeah, it was a wee bit. It was like a wee mini war. It was like it was a hard fought fight anyway from both of us.
Was it a decision?
No, it was a TKO.
You got my TKO.
Yeah,
eventually.
my first 2 fights were TKO, and then my second 2 fights after that were submission.
Yeah, because that was the Evolution of Combat was the one I was wanting to talk to you about. I remember Stevie coming into the gym talking about...
That's literally when he came over as me. It's nasty. But you'll get it. I think I actually might have got out of it then. I got out of it, but then I go back a wee bit further. I gets it round about here when I jump on top of him. Like, we just be daft mistakes off like just a wee boy. I was just a young kid.
You look young there, aye.
I was 16, he was 18. I remember that being such a big deal for me back then. It's right here, yeah.
Oh, aye, see it, aye.
It messes me up a wee bit.
Oh, aye, you could see it.
I had injured it a fair
Your
bit.
leg was caught there, to start with.
Aye. I think he tore it a wee bit because I was struggling with it for a couple of months afterwards. I couldn't throw hooks or nothing like that off of it. And then I finished him like straight after because he was just absolutely shattered. So was I. But it's just what happens when you give 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds adrenaline for the first time. You just don't know what to do with it.
Is this it here, the finish?
Yeah.
That's class. I rode that out.
I remember I'm actually like, you'll see me look up at the ref at one point in time, and it's not because I'm feeling bad for him on the hunt that, I'm just shattered. I'm like, please stop the fight, man.
How you looking there?
It worked. They stopped the fight after it. You can actually see the adrenaline leave my body in a wee second to watch. Like, I scream, and then my mate comes to try and hug me. Watch, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The adrenaline just... Yeah, it's wild watching this stuff back, man.
Go and pull up the next one. Is what I speak about anyway, was the Evolution of Combat fight against Reece Muirhead.
Ewan Muirhead.
Oh, was it Ewan? Sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies to Ewan. Aye, so a wee bit of background behind this then. Stevie coming into the gym and saying Clancy sitting everybody in the gym with this crazy submission for his back, and this was like before anybody had even. Cool. This was before like anybody was even hitting it. He was it's doing this crazy thing for his back, and obviously it was the buggy choke. And
skip it to the buggy choke.
I think so. Because what round was it?
It was the second round.
And I knew watching it. I paid for the pay-per-view to watch it. And I think when he hit you on the bottom, I thought he's going to hit him with that buggy choke.
Yeah, I get an absolute belted a sprawl right first as well, and it kind of annoys me a wee bit. I mean, it doesn't annoy me the fact that I got the buggy, but it does annoy me a wee bit the fact that I ruined this sprawl. It was an absolute beezery a sprawl, oft, and then I just ruin it.
As a reverse you here, right? I mean, that's it straight into it now.
I kind of knew that if I'd let him have that, then I would get him in it.
You hear the commentator, they've never even, even the guys hadn't heard that.
Aye, that's Richard Dixon talking about it. He thought that Ewan had choked me unconscious here. I thought I was out.
The guys have got the masks and the visors in there. That must have been COVID, eh? He was out there, eh?
That was amazing. I don't even... what did you just do?
Mad shit.
I've screen recorded that and sent it to James.
Yeah.
Said that, and I'm sure that was the screen recorded was the video that actually used when he was posting it on the Higher Level page.
That was the first... I believe that was the first time in MMA history that anybody's been choked unconscious with it. I think there was one or two people that had got the buggy choke in MMA before.
Right.
One or two. Like unknown ones, obviously. But I believe I was the first person to ever choke somebody unconscious with it.
Where did you see it? Was it one of these things you just figured out again? Or
I watched it. It was a fight in the UFC. I was just sat watching. It was a guy called Violent Bob Ross. And he was fighting with someone... I remember the guy, but I can't remember his name. Anyway, just a pure generic random fight. I can't even remember why I watched it. It's funny thinking like just these small decisions can like impact the kind of fight you become and stuff like that, because I clicked that fight rather than that fight. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
Watched it. It wasn't even a good fight. Like I remember, it wasn't even a good fight. It was just I just so happened to see this guy do it. He done it in the middle of the fight, and he never got it. But he was close. Like I could tell there was something there because the guy was like ragging about and stuff like that. And eventually the guys let Bob Ross on top of him. like, because he was in side control, obviously, so it's a
Right.
bad position. I'm like, why is he letting him do that? And I was like, I want to try that. I tried it like 2 or 3 times and I wasn't getting it, and I just kept messing about with it over and over and over again. And I think it was like the 4th or 5th time that I eventually tried it, I got it. And then I think the main thing was I was trying to do it from my back. Like, I seen this guy when he was doing it, I was like, he was on his back, and when I tried to do it, I was on my back and it wasn't working, and I've turned into him. When I've turned into him, that's when it started to work. So there was just a wee click, something's clicked, and it just seems to fit my frame, I think, as well. Like, I'm like quite long, like I've got quite a thin torso, I've got long arms and stuff like that, quite long thin arms, and then I've got that big back. Big back kind of helps, like, cause it kind of tense my lats up, that bodybuilder, that kind of helps. So that's one of the that's probably one of my favourite finishes, of course, because it's just so unique.
I bet loads of guys that have come across you from Cage Warriors have no idea how good you are on the ground, especially for your back as well.
Yeah.
Like,
I never end up there, so I don't show it quite that much, but it was actually like when my dad first got me into MMA, he used to get me into trouble for like going on my back too much, just because I enjoyed it. Like, I just enjoyed it. Like, I've got really dexterous legs and stuff, strong upper body, and I feel balanced quite well. I just enjoyed it. Like, I remember when I was younger, me and my dad were in Muscle Bound Paisley, and Hoist Gracie had came in, and my dad was getting me to show Hoist Gracie, like, me put my dad in a triangle and stuff like that. So, like, I've always loved just kind of like the submissions from my back game, because when I first got into it, it was just like jiu-jitsu versus boxing, or kickboxing versus wrestling. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I just enjoyed being on my back. That's what I enjoyed more than anything. But so that's kind of like why I've got that ability to do that. Obviously, the game's progressed and stuff like that, so I don't do it unless I've got it if I have to, but it's daft to just stay there.
Aye. You've still got to fight smart.
Of course.
For as good as you are, you're still going to.
Of course.
James's game plan will still be get through the fight as safely as possible without taking any damage. So.
Like, the whole point of fighting is, like, a lot of people nowadays, for some reason, like, they let their pride get in the way. They're like, oh, I want to beat the boxer at boxing. I want to beat the wrestler at wrestling. I just want to put people where they're least comfortable, because being the best fighter in the world, which I'm going to do eventually, is going to be hard enough. Never mind try to do it whilst beating everybody at their own discipline. It's daft.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Aye.
Doing it in the most efficient way possible is going to lead to more dominant performances, and it's going to make it more likely that I'm going to get what I want to. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Aye. Yep. Aye, makes total sense, mate. You've got to be tactical about it. It's fighting at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course.
So you know to get hurt prematurely when you're like, obviously rising like you're just now. One thing about you that's kind of unique to a lot of guys you train with is that you've basically trained from 3-year-old.
Aye, roughly.
You've never not trained, have you?
I can't remember not training. My dad got me into it from such a young age. I literally have no memory of like picking up gloves or like wrestling with my brother or wrestling with my dad. I have no memory of like, oh, that was the first time I did that, which is quite cool. But at the same time, there's no like, everybody always like asks me, oh, how did you get into it and stuff like that, and it's such a hard question to answer, because I literally just don't have a memory. Like, I couldn't tell you.
Your dad posted a video this morning, and I can't see exactly what you were doing. You were like jumping over stuff.
Yeah,
did you
it
see
was like S&C. Yeah, my dad was like an S&C coach and stuff like that. So I always like take the piss. And I say like my base is fucking strength and conditioning because that was like his favourite thing to do. It's probably one of my favourite things to do as well. It's probably one of the reasons I'm so like athletic now. Was just constantly doing things like that. Like, my dad made me an athlete first, and then I started taking the more technical side more seriously and stuff.
And obviously, you work with Adam. It's Adam, Adam Lisby.
Adam,
Lisby.
From Enhanced Sports Performance,
Yeah, he seems to be like the top guy in Scotland to work with, so perfect combination.
See, since like I've had structure and like program, it's just taken everything in the next level. Like, that's probably the reason that I was able to last those 3 rounds after not even having like a proper true training camp where I can peak at the times I want to. Like, I'm never not in shape, and he's kind of responsible for that at this stage.
What age are you now? 21?
22.
22. So young to be doing so well.
Oh, thank you.
Do you remember coming to Braveheart what was it, the Intercomp? Mind you rolled with me?
Yeah.
What age were you then?
Oh, that was during... Was that 2020?
Aye, so...
I think it was 2020.
Disclosure.
So that was like... I would have been 18 then.
Aye.
Because that was 4 years ago.
I'm sure you did a couple of fights by then.
Aye, I'd have been 18 because it was just over 4 years ago.
Aye. Because obviously it was like matching up with folk, and I was like, do you want to roll with me? And
Yeah.
because I knew like how good you were, and I was like, I'm definitely not going to win this, but I just want to have a round with you while you're here.
Of course.
And it was just a constant attack. I think I was just defending for about 3 minutes, and then I think he got me with an anaconda eventually. Probably didn't remember now. But
Aye, that sounds about right. I used to always go for the anacondas. See, since I've got a wee bit like bigger and bulkier and stuff like that, and like all the guys I'm like fighting and stuff are a lot thicker, it's harder to get stuff like that. But when I was a wee skinny guy, that's what I used to do all the time. Like you seen that in the videos there. I was just a big lanky streak of pish, just wiry.
Aye. You've definitely got the best physique for jiu-jitsu though, like say long legs, long arms, and obviously the biceps as well for the squeezing. So,
Thank you.
So your next fight is you're headlining the Braid Arena, aren't you? Aye. Do you know who you're fighting yet?
No. I've not got anyone yet. A bunch of people turned me down for my last fight. So, and those are like the main guys. Like the guys that turned me down are the main guys at Cage Warriors welterweight. So I'm not. I honestly have no clue who they could possibly give me, to be honest. Because everybody who I would guess that they might give me has already turned me down. So I literally have no clue.
They're going to start running into folk to get you.
Yeah, I got any. I don't even know. That's why they ended up getting some random guy from Brazil the last time. Not some random guy, but that's why they ended up having to pick someone up from Brazil.
Aye.
Like all the European guys were saying no. So, especially in short notice like that, it's just too big a risk.
Aye.
But this one, we've got a lot of time, so I'm hopeful.
And then obviously, whoever the champion is at welterweight, surely they will not be able to refuse the fight when the time comes for that.
No, he wouldn't be able to refuse. I couldn't see him refusing. Just if you're somebody who is disciplined enough to get the Cage Warriors title, I can't see you being the kind of person that's like, oh, I don't want to defend this. Do you know what I mean? James Sheehan, he's like a fighting Irishman. Do you know what I mean? I can't see him like wanting to turn me down, or even if he did want to turn me down, which I could see him wanting to turn me down. I couldn't see him like succumbing to that, if you know what I mean. So as soon as I beat this guy, I've got no doubts that the next one's going to be the welterweight title. Like I wouldn't take anything else. That would be my 5th win in Cage Warriors. And if you look at the way I've beat everybody, nobody else has done that. Like, go through any of the weight classes, nobody else has done that. Like nobody's doing what I'm doing to the level of competition that I'm doing it to. So it's undoubtable that I'll be the title next.
Yeah. And then following that, obviously you're just waiting on the phone call to James for Sean Shelby for the next step up. How do you think you'll feel with that? Do you think you'll be ready just to go straight in there? And
yeah, aye, definitely, because I need to be. By the time I win the title, well, now that's kind of how I'm treating it. Like, imagine there's like a short notice like pull out or something like that for London. Like you're always having these wee things in the back of your head, but right now I'm just focusing the date that I've got. Do you know what I mean? But as far as that goes, I thought I would be a lot more nervous to fight on Cage Warriors than I am. I don't think it's really in my psyche to be mega, like, to overthink things when it comes to fighting and stuff like that. So I think by the time I'm in the UFC, yeah, I'll get nervous the same way I always do, but I can't see me overthinking it. As soon as I get that first one in the UFC out of the way, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm a UFC fighter.
It'd be great to see you in the UFC, mate.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's like, I always think, I don't know how I'll be, because it's something I've always wanted to do. Like, literally since I was like a 2, 3, 4-year-old boy, I've always wanted to be in the UFC, and I've always known that I'm going to get to the UFC. So is it going to be, oh, I'm mega excited to be in the UFC, or is it going to be, well, I always knew I was going to get here, so now I'm just in the UFC? We'll see when it happens. We'll see what happens.
And when it does, do you think you'll just be continuing to do all your camps at higher level, or do you think, like when you look at some of the other fighters that you see branching out to American Top Team and, you know, to name a few, do you think that'll ever be something that you'll do to get different rounds, or are you 100% always going to be just training at higher level?
At higher level, yeah. I'm a heavy loyalist. Like, James is just, like, the connection that we've got is just invaluable. I couldn't imagine going to like even just from a selfish avenue, I couldn't imagine going to someone else and then having to rebuild that connect. Like, it would just be daft. And then, like, no, it would just be daft. Like, I don't see any reason to do it anyway either. Like, if you look at all of these different, like, all the UFC fighters that are winning championship belts and stuff like that, and all the guys that are winning, like, contenders and stuff, like to name a few, like Alex Pereira, like, I know you can't name the gym that he fights out of.
No.
Like, I can't. You can't name the gym that Topuria fights out of. Max Holloway, Dricus du Plessis, like, you can't name these places.
Yeah.
They're all tightly knit communities and stuff like that. They're not super gyms. Like, these super gyms are just a money making scam. Like, they take all your dough and it's just a mad meat grinder. Like, you're just in there and you're just getting your, like, everybody's showing up to fight. Like, nobody's getting these technical breakdowns that, like, James is giving us. James literally gives us his heart and his soul. Yeah. You are not getting that at one of these mega gyms where there's like hundreds and hundreds of, like, top level pro fighters. Like, you're not getting that same attention. You're not getting that same care. Like, it's dumb. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's there would be absolutely no reason for me to do that. I think it's actually starting to become a bit of a dying thing, because a lot of people are realising that there's no point in doing it. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're a guy that's fighting out of, like, a low level gym and stuff like that, then that's different. But a tightly knit community like ours, you get people like Paul Craig, again, Stevie Ray's came out of this gym, Danny Henry's came out of this gym. Like, you get so many different, like, high level fighters. Look at the up and coming boys like me, Kunle, Mark, Lorenzo, like, all these guys, like Gemma, Dylan Took, even like the amateur boys and stuff like that. Like, we're absolutely, like, wiping the floor with it. Like my little brother Stephen, like, that boy is tremendous. Like, you would not get that. You can tell the amount of care that's went into his style and his, like, his development. You're not getting that from any of these other, like, top level gyms. You're getting generic styles. Like, you can see there's an extra flavour to it. Like, it's hard to explain any further than that. I feel like I've done quite well explaining that. To answer your question, no. For just down to the fact that how much I owe James Dillon, and even for my own selfish reasons, it would be daft.
Oh, he's arguably the best coach in, could you say, the UK?
110%. Like, you're not, like, I've seen, like, I can't, I've been to the UFC, I've been to New York, I've been to Brazil twice, I've been to London, I've been to all these different places, and I've seen all the UFC events, I've been to Cage Warriors and stuff, I've seen all the top level guys in Britain, I've seen all the top level coaches in Europe, I've seen all the top level coaches in America and the way they work and stuff like that backstage, the way they coach. They don't hold a candle to James. Like, the kind of attention to detail he puts into this and the kind of care he puts into this, it's just different. Like, and you can see that. Like, I've obviously had the privilege of travelling the world and stuff like that now with Paul Craig and stuff, and like, I'm looking at all these other people and I'm just like, you're no better than James. Like, you're absolutely no better than James at all. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, well, I totally agree with you.
I think he's the best, man. I think he's the best.
Definitely a martial arts genius.
110%. 110%. His brain for it's just different.
Aye, I've got a lot of respect for James as well, so it's great to hear that you're saying that as well. That was the answer I was looking for, to be fair. Aye, it's great to hear that. And you've just sort of briefly mentioned a few of your teammates there. For anybody that obviously doesn't train at higher level, is there anybody we should be looking out for that's going to be bursting into the pro scene? Or
a lot of the boys that I've mentioned are, like, I'd imagine if you're watching this podcast and you're going to know who these boys are. Like, these boys, like the boys that I mentioned, are dangerous. All the boys that I've mentioned are dangerous people. Like, give me hell for rounds in the gym. But like, I'd like to give my little brother Stephen a wee shout out because he's tremendous. That kid, he's very, very, very good. He's just obviously a little bit behind us. But James always talks about like the conveyor belt, like the boys that I've mentioned, like Lorenzo and Coonley and Mark. And, like, you're obviously going to know Paul Craig and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so all these boys that I've mentioned, they're like starting to kind of catch a little glimpse of that limelight. Like, you know who these people are, their followers are going up and stuff like that. They're getting the recognition. But for people like Stephen, who's still just a little bit, he's not pro yet, he's still amateur, he's building up that record and stuff. He's maybe not getting the same kind of limelight and the same kind of attention, but like, for a fact you're going to see that happen soon.
Aye, I've heard great things about him, to be fair. What's the age gap between the two of you then?
It's not even that much. It's like 4 years. 4 years. He's very good.
Aye, so you'll have grew up
together,
fighting in the house.
I've got 5 brothers, so we were always fighting in the house. Like, I was always fighting with Logan, I was always fighting with Stephen, I was always fighting with Austin. We were all fighting with each other. Like Troy and Creed and stuff like that, they were a wee bit younger and stuff, but they still get that. They still, like, we're always still grappling with them, like wrestling with them and stuff like that. But me, like, for all the older ones and stuff like that, we were just always fighting. So it's like, since.
Aye, so your childhood was a lot of training, a lot of strength and conditioning, rolling. Probably, I think I've seen your dad doing pads for you, rolling a bit as well.
Yeah, he made it fun for us. He made it fun, so like we didn't get sick of it really.
So what age did they bring you to Higher Level then, or was it the grip house first? Did you say?
I've trained at the grip house since I was like 5 or 6. Like, this was like when James and stuff like that was still training at the grip house and stuff. Like, I had one of the first Dinky Ninja. Like, there'll be a picture. I don't know if you'll be able to find it on Facebook or anything like that. But
we've got the man for that, Callum.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that up. It was so I had one of the first ever Dinky Ninja t-shirts. I remember Dean Riley gave me it. Literally, it was just like, I remember I felt like a man. Do you know what I mean? I was like 5 or 6, but yeah, I've trained out there forever. I remember, like, I used to get PTs off of Paul McVeigh and stuff like that when I was younger. Not many. Like, I couldn't be like, oh yeah, I religiously got PTs off of Paul McVeigh. Like, I had 2 or 3 or something like that, and I used to roll with them all the time when I was younger. I'd have conversations with these guys and stuff. But yeah, when I got to about 14 or something like that, my dad had just fought, and somebody had said to him, if you want to take this fight seriously, you need to head to Higher Level. And he headed to Higher Level, and he was like, it's just different here. Like, the level is so good, the attention to detail is just insane. So him obviously realising that he's given his son off to one of like the harshest sports in the world, he's like, I want to make sure he's prepared as he possibly can. So he's gave me off to James. I've headed there at like 14 or something like that. Literally never looked back. It's been like my home ever since. Literally my home ever since, because for a fair few years I was staying there from Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Aye, I was staying there more than I was staying back home for a little while.
Was that because you couldn't drive at the time? Like,
Yeah. And even when I could drive, I didn't have the money. So I was like just a wee kid without a job, trying to train full time. So I was like, I can't, like, I stay about an hour away from the gym, so driving there and back is about £15.
Right.
So if I do that every single day, it ends up being like £90 to £100 every single week if I'm going up and down. Do you know what I mean? So if I drive up once on Monday, stay there till Friday, that's £15 for the whole week.
And the thing about MMA is there's pretty much no money in it until you get to the UFC, really.
Exactly.
I do want to ask you what you get at Cage Warriors, but I know for a fact it's a fraction of what you're getting for the UFC, so it can't be easy if that is literally your only income is fighting.
Of course, and then even back then, like, I wasn't pro, so I was like you don't get money. Like, you don't get money off fighting. You get a couple of, like, I remember I used to save all my money up for like my birthday and Christmas, because my birthday and Christmas is right next to each other. I used to save all my birthday up. I used to save all of my birthday and Christmas money up, and then I'd try and just like let it last me the year till my next birthday and Christmas. So I used to do things like that. I used to do like wee odd jobs, like paint people's fences and stuff like that. I remember I was like working with Chris Shaw as well, like roofing and stuff every now and then. So I'd do like wee bits and bobs here and there just to make a little bit of money so that I could properly pursue what I was doing.
Yeah. And obviously if you're training twice a day, there's not really any time to work, is there?
Literally, because the time, like, if I train Monday like that, was for a period of time 4 hours that day. Like there's literally no time during the day to actually earn any money, and even if there was, you're needing to relax for the next session, otherwise you're getting nothing out of that session.
Aye.
So it's a strange wee balance that you're trying to catch. That's why you need sponsors and stuff like that nowadays.
Aye. So like a normal day for you would be, well, obviously you've got your daughter now as well, so that will probably affect your recovery as well.
Sleep and stuff, yeah, absolutely.
And just responsibilities, because you can't just go back after training knackered, have a sleep.
100%.
You'll
I
stuff
need to make like breakfast. Well, my missus is actually helping me out with breakfast and stuff. Yeah, there's a wee Dunkin' Ninja t-shirt. Oh, fair play.
That took a while.
Fair play. That didn't take you that long. I think it was 8. There you go.
Look at the eyes there. She's got the eye of the tiger at your old there.
Oh, I was a wee nutter, man. Still a wee nutter.
You're quite composed though, and methodical, I would say. But,
Yeah.
as a
No,
fighter, you've
took a
always.
while to get that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just in the I don't know you that well, but in, like, from what I can see on your interviews and social media and the way people talk about you in the gym. Obviously, I train with Robbie and Stevie, so hear things back and forward. And quite mature, I would say, in terms of your career.
Thank you.
One funny thing I was going to ask you about, we're kind of jumping back to Cage Warriors now, but I didn't want to miss out on this because it's pretty funny. I don't know if Callum can maybe pull this up as well.
There's 2.
So
twice. I know what you're going to say.
Aye,
What you're going to say.
the funny thing with Cage Warriors is you do your face off in your boxer shorts, and it seems to be attracting hundreds of comments for gay fans. I wonder how they're coming across this.
I honestly don't know, because it's obviously me. Like, I thought it was just chance the first time, but then it happened again. So like the first time, I think one of the videos ended up getting like 1 million views or something like that. It was wild. It's obviously been sent into some mad like gay like group on Facebook or something like that, and everybody's just been like reposting it, sharing it and stuff. I don't know what that was, but being fucking posting it and like sharing it and stuff like that. I don't know, but it went viral on Facebook and Instagram, and then 2 fights later or whatever it was, I ended up fighting Augusto and then it happened again. So literally don't know. I've been offered thousands of pounds from my boxers now.
Really?
At this point in time, aye.
That's class, mate. So, see, your I was going to ask you a wee bit about your weight cutting process. You spoke about it already. You said you cut about 10 kilos or whatever, and your weight never really goes above 88 roughly.
Kilos,
Aye. I've actually got some here for you. Little gift bag for Figure 8. It's shower gel and bath salts.
Oh man, I really appreciate that. Thank you, bro.
Well, it's them that sent it to us to give to the guests, so hopefully you'll enjoy it a bit. The bath salts over here, who's smelling like a spa.
Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Obviously, you said you didn't use the bath with the salts for cutting weight, though. It's more for relaxing.
Yeah, aye. It makes me feel very relaxed and stuff like that. See, because I don't have to cut too much weight. There's not like, we don't have to have every single thing dialed in and stuff like that. Like, we don't have to be like mega strict or something like that. If I had to cut a little bit more weight, then that's something I'd probably have to use for that. But as far as like just getting it after a session and then sitting like try to have my muscles relax, that's probably what I would use that for more than anything. But boxing science is actually who sorts my weight cut and stuff like that. Since I've been with him, it's actually hard to describe how much easier it is and how much better I feel. Like, for my first 10 fights or something like that, I was not hydrating properly at all. Like, I just didn't know what I was doing. I never had like, I had some good advice off of people like James and stuff like that, but like, there's only so much he can do to like he's not going to be in charge of my whole weight cut process and my whole rehydration process. Like, I'm asking him for advice and stuff like that, and then I'll do that, and then I'll think I'm doing the right thing myself, like, and stuff like that, and I'm just doing stupid things. Like, I remember one of the like rehydration meals I had was like, I cut a whole sourdough loaf of bread down the middle, and then I just shoved eggs, fucking black pudding, square sausage, link sausage down the middle, and they just ate it like a big Scooby-Doo sandwich. And I thought I was doing the right thing, and then I walked in the next day and I could like just, my bowels were just in bits. Like, I was just, everything that I was eating was just coming back out of me. I was pale white. I was like pure drawn in still, but obviously I still ended up getting away with it. But
There's a proper science to it.
there's a proper science behind it, because I'm doing things nowadays that I just didn't think you could have done. Like, for not for the last fight, but for the fight before it, I got away with, actually no, for my last fight as well, for my last 2 fights, sorry, I had a full 500, so like half a litre tub of ice cream, like full fat, full carb ice cream right before the weigh-in, so the Thursday before my weigh-in.
Before the weigh-in?
Before the weigh-in. So I'm having like half a litre of ice cream before I go to bed.
How can you do that though? Is that not just pure carbs?
Yeah, so like if you think about it, when I'm eating that, I'm only going to gain as much as that weighs.
True.
Because I'm not drinking any water. See, if I was to drink water, then yeah, maybe it would add, but I'm only having that, so I can only gain as much as that's given me. So I'm not, and then you're not even really gaining that. Like, it's going to help you to the toilet, it's going to help you like be a little bit more like energized and stuff like that, and the rest, you're not going to gain 500 mils. You're going to lose a little bit of that. A little bit of that's going to come out of you before you go into the fight.
You would think there would be loads of water in that though, no?
Yeah, there is, but I'd say the benefits that you're getting from it, just especially for me personally, because I'm not cutting a crazy amount of weight, the benefits for me probably outweigh the cons. Like, if you're getting somebody that's cutting like tremendous amount of weight, like Paul Craig, like he's not going to be able to do something like that.
Aye. Does he do a lot, does he?
Aye, he does a fair amount of weight, yeah.
I've heard the people doing the ice cream the night after the weigh-in to carb up. Like, say, if you're fighting on the Saturday, you could be eating ice cream on the Friday night. But I've never heard of anybody doing that when they're weighing in.
Because see, because it's so dense in calories, you're getting so much energy from it.
Right.
So again, the pros outweigh the cons. Like, you're not pure depleted. Your body's still getting that little bit of refueling and stuff like that before you've even stepped on the scales.
Right.
So yeah, it's just how good he is. Like, we've got it down to an absolute science. That's what it's called. It's called boxing science. So just the guy's so good. I can't. I'm trying to think of another couple of examples, but like, you'll see me when I step on the scales, I'm not even drawn in or anything like that. Like, I'm really hardly drawn in, but I still regain back on my weight. So I'm getting all the pros without any of the negatives.
Aye.
I'm walking in big, but I'm not cutting a crazy amount of weight.
Aye. You look jacked, like, to be fair, when you go into your
brilliant,
fights.
man. It's like he's a wizard.
What weight do you think you are walking into the cage at?
It depends on the time. Some will be heavier than others. We mess about with it quite a lot as well. We mess about with, we don't mess about with it quite a lot. We mess about it with it like incrementally. So like for this next one, I might cut a little bit more water than I did the last one. Maybe I'll cut a wee bit less, but it just depends on the time. Like, there's no one set weight I'll walk in round about. I'll never really go in any lighter than like 85 or something like that. But sometimes I'll be more. Sometimes I'll maybe get back up to like 87 or something like that. It just depends.
So do you prepare all your own meals then, or have you got like a meal prep thing?
So I prepare all my meals. So
you do everything?
So I do like my breakfast, lunch and my dinner. That's one of the chores I do back at the house as well. So like whenever I'm in my house, like I make my meals, and then I'll make the same meals for like my missus, and I'll make the same meal for the weekend and stuff like that. So yeah, unless it's time for refueling, then Lee Rickards normally comes up and then helps me with all that.
Yeah.
He's literally amazing.
I was going to ask you if you did the keto the week before, or it doesn't sound like it.
No, you can't do keto the week before. When you do keto, so you need carbohydrates, so you can't even do keto like the Thursday. If you do keto the Thursday, it can take about 24 hours for your body or 48 hours for your body to enter ketosis, and then when your body enters ketosis, it takes about 48 to 72 hours for your body to actually start reabsorbing carbohydrates.
Right.
So when I'm trying to refuel, my body's in ketosis, my body's not gaining any of this like sugar or like glycogen's back really. It's just purely feeding off of the fats that I've got. So that's one of the things that a lot of people do wrong, is they'll start their keto diet and stuff like that. I'm fortunate enough, like I've got a crazy metabolism. Like I went and got my RMR done and stuff like that. Like I burn a ridiculous amount of calories. Like I think it was like 2,900 calories or something like that. I burn just sitting on my butt all day doing nothing.
Really?
It's wild.
Wow. What do you track that by?
So there was like an RMR machine that we went down to Sheffield and got a couple of things done. So I went down to Sheffield to Boxing Science Institute, got a couple of we got a lot of like data and stuff like that, and that was one of the things that we were testing. So metabolic rate was through the roof.
Aye.
So even fight week, like the Thursday before my fight, I'm still upwards of like hundreds of carbs like a day. Like the Thursday before my fight, I'm in more calories than most people are like 7 weeks out for their fight. I'm still on about 2,400 calories like the Thursday before my fight. It's just a bit swapping the.
Is that low for you? 2,400.
Yeah, I'm on about 4,000 right now.
Aye. But
Yeah.
you're training twice a day though,
Mhm.
and I reckon each session, if you're training with the guys you're training with, you're going to burn about 1,000 calories in that
It
session
depends
anyway.
on the session. So like when you get sessions, like and it also depends on how long the sessions are as well. So like if I get like a Super Sunday, that's an hour and a half. So I've got a full like 50% longer than I would for any other session.
Right.
And then when you look at like wrestling sessions and stuff like that, it's small incremental bursts that you're having. It's not like you're working for the full time.
Yeah.
So you're probably actually not burning as many calories as you're thinking. So I'll burn 2,900 calories on like just sitting doing nothing, and then walking around all day, that's burning calories.
Yep.
Like me drinking this water is going to burn calories, obviously. Like training is going to burn calories, so I'm upwards of 4,000 calories a day to maintain about like 88 kilos.
I wonder what your heart rate is sitting at if you're for burning that many calories. If it's
It's pretty low. It's I'd say on average, like when I'm like right now, I'd reckon if like us just sitting talking, it'll be about on average like 60. But like if I was to like be asleep, then it'll be like about 50, maybe just below there.
Right.
But I remember one of my fights, I ended up getting it down to like below 40. But that was when I had my Aura ring and I was like testing it whilst I was sleeping.
that
and
was
stuff
my
like
next
that.
question. Aye, how are you tracking it? Was it Aura ring? Aye.
Yeah.
I used the Whoop for that. To be fair, it's great.
Yeah.
I quite like stuff like
Somebody
that.
ended up
Like
stealing my Aura ring.
what's that? Somebody stole it.
They stole that.
Really?
Yeah.
At the training, like.
I can't even remember where it was actually. But maybe I've lost it. I don't know.
Aye.
But I think somebody stole it.
What was it like for training with having a ring on though?
I never wore it during training.
Aye. So you
I
couldn't
was
really-
freaking out a wee bit.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to track your sparring sessions or that then, eh?
No, not really. I used a heart rate monitor for that.
Right.
So we'd use a heart rate monitor for that, but I'd use the Aura ring for my sleep. But
Aye, that's one good thing about Whoop. You can actually click it into your boxer shorts, so it's pushing
Is
against
it?
it. Aye,
I was actually thinking about getting one of them.
aye. Aye, I would recommend it, mate. To
you?
be honest, aye, I like them.
I get dead like autistic, for lack of a better phrase, with like hunters and stuff like that. Like I'll get. Sometimes I take it too seriously. Like if I look at my phone and I thought I had a good sleep, and I check my phone and it said I've had a bad sleep, it will ruin my day. Like it will completely ruin my day.
Aye.
I get right like obsessive about things like that. So that's the only thing. Like when I had the Aura ring, I was getting a bit too wound up about it, and the fact that I was getting too wound up about it was actually messing with my sleep as well.
Aye, aye, because the sleep's the most important thing as well.
Aye.
So, aye, definitely. Another wee gift I've actually got for you, Sean, is from Fitted Link. The hat that I'm actually wearing just now.
Thank you
They
very
gave
much.
me a hat to give it to every guest as well. So
I appreciate it.
pretty good quality hats, to be fair.
Aye, that's mega. I really like that.
Aye,
Thank you very much.
The guy's a Cage Warriors fan, so we'd be chuffed to
Really?
bits with that. Aye,
I'll
aye,
put it
good
on
guy.
there. Do that. Oh, I've got a fucking big daft head, man. Hold on. How do you listen it?
It should just
I'll
be
just
like
put
a
it-
Yankees hat, I think. Yeah. Aye,
I've got
aye, looks the part, mate. Looks the
a
part.
stupidly big head, mate, so like I pure have to like I never get hats to fit me properly.
Nah, it looks alright on you, mate.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So the next thing, Sean, what to do is the followers' questions. Got them up on the screen here. So the first one is from Mac Illustrations, who I think you're familiar with. Aye. How are you finding training and being a new dad?
Aye, it's hard. It's hard. It's rewarding, but it's hard. I've got a lot less time than. No stresses. I've got a lot less time now than I did before, but at the same time, I'd probably say I'm a lot more efficient with my time now. So in a weird way, sometimes like I feel like I've actually got more time than I did before. I feel like a lot like. When I was younger, I used to just waste loads of time. When I didn't have a baby, I'd just sit and scroll and do nonsense on my phone. So it's definitely grown me up, but it is hard. There's pros and cons to as far as the training life goes and stuff like that. It's made me a wee bit more nasty, I think, in some ways, just because obviously you're sleep deprived and stuff like that. But at the same time, not recovering as fast as I used to. Actually, to be honest, sleep's getting a lot better than it was before. So that recovery's coming back more and more and more.
What age
Get
is
a
your
lot
wee
less
one?
energy. She's 11 months.
Aye,
So she's getting older. Which is good. It's good, but it's sad as well.
Once they get to a certain age when they're sleeping all night, that's the goal.
She's not
That's
slept
the
on.
promised land.
She's slept all night once or twice.
Aye, my
It's
laddie
nasty.
he never slept all night till he was 2. So
Literally, man, that's actually a sickening thought. But I'm hoping she gets better soon. I actually ended up having to jump into the crib well last night.
I've done that.
I done it for the first time about 2 or 3 days ago. It's not even a big crib, mate. It's like a small, tiny wee wooden crib. I was like, I'm going to break this thing. But it was the only thing that was calming her down. And it was nice as well, because she normally doesn't take to me.
Yep.
That'll
change.
calming her down and stuff. Yeah. It started to change a wee bit, so I'm enjoying that.
They start with you're just the third wheel, eh?
Yeah.
Especially if they're breastfeeding. I don't know if your missus is breastfeeding.
Yeah, she breastfeeds.
They've just got that closeness and that connection, and whereas you're just like the third wheel until they get old enough to start recognising when you can start having a wee bit of carry
Started
on with
playing
them.
with her and stuff. Well, I've always played with her, but like she's starting to get like involved with it and stuff like that. Like I've seen before, like apparently it's good for their like brain and stuff like that to like pick them up upside down. She loves it. Literally, I will like pick her up here and like power bomb her in the bed. She's 11 months old, I know, but like she loves it, and it actually settles her down before bed. Whenever I like play with her quite rough and stuff like that before bed, it always calms her right down. I mean, it gets her excited, and then it calms her right down. So
That seems to be like the thing across the board with everybody. Is that the dad gets the kids all riled up right before bed, and then the mum's got to settle them. It seems to be something.
Apparently, it's actually meant to be good for them. It's good for like it helps calm their central nervous system down a wee bit. They like that contact, which I've seen that before, and it seems to work for us. It always seems to put her to bed a wee bit earlier.
Anything to get them to sleep during the night.
Literally, man.
Right, who's next then? Let's see. Excel production. What does your nutrition plan look like in camp in terms of calories, macros? Well, we've actually covered that in the podcast, but you might just quickly breeze over that.
Yeah. So that's obviously like box science nutrition that sorts that. But it depends. It depends where my weight is and stuff like that. I'd say on average it's roughly like to maintain what I've got now, it's about 4,000 calories, and then when I want to start losing weight, it'll drop it by about 400 calories. But carbs are like king, so he's always, as far as performance goes, carbs are king. So he's like always got them super high, and I literally just burn through them rapid. So he's always like, I think for me it can be a wee bit hard to, again because I burn so much calories, it can be quite hard to like pinpoint it. So he's always having to like lift it up a little bit more than like it would be for normal people. But normally carbs are like super high. Fats are normally quite low. It depends, unless it's on like a Saturday where I'm not training as hard. If I'm not training as hard that day, then the calories are a little bit lower, the fats are a little bit higher, the carbs are a little bit lower as well. And then I'll normally have about 200 grams of protein a day, maybe a little bit more than that depending on the day.
So do you train 7 days a week then?
Six.
So Saturday you're day off.
I tried training 7 days a week and I just hated it. I didn't feel like I was, like, because there's supposed to be benefits as far as recovery and stuff like that goes, but I didn't feel like I was getting those benefits. I felt like mentally it was just more taxing than just being able to just sit in my bed that little bit longer. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, and you needed the day stuff with the family.
Just to I don't want to be thinking MMA every single day. Like, you'll burn yourself out. So Saturday I just try and not think about it. Like I say I don't think about it, but like I watch fights that day normally. I'll always watch fights, but that's entertainment. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get to switch my brain off when I do that. I'm not necessarily sitting there studying. Like, I'll pick things up from it subconsciously, but like Saturday's normally just time with the family. Just try to chill out a wee bit.
Who's your favourite fighter to watch?
Right now it's Taporia. He's just so perfect everywhere.
Looks amazing.
He's literally one of the only people in MMA that's like defensively responsible. It's like he just seems to be good everywhere. Like, the only way I can see anybody beating him is if they're like a lot bigger than him and they can just bully him. But featherweight, there's nobody beating him now.
And they're not talking about him fighting Islam next. That would be a tough one for him.
It'd be a very tough one for him, but stylistically I think it's a bad one for Islam as well. I think Islam will take it, if I'm being perfectly honest, but stylistically it's a bad one for Islam, because Islam's, like, he's got good striking, he's got good boxing and stuff like that, but he struggled with, it's maybe not his strength. His strength's not necessarily his boxing. But at the same time, like Toporia's weakness is probably somebody keeping that distance and then just firing that back leg kick. He struggled a wee bit with what's his name, Bryce Mitchell going southpaw. Topuria, which obviously Islam is.
Yeah.
They're both bad matchups for each other because Islam really struggled with the height of Volk and the stockiness and just the centre of gravity. I think that'd be a great fight, to be honest, but Toporia's my boy.
He's got absolute bombs in his hands as well.
It just throws with such conviction. I think that's a big thing as well. That's something I'm trying to focus on right now. You've seen that in my last fight a wee bit. Just try to fire a wee bit more conviction.
Right, what we got next then? Let's see. So, Sean, Jose, do you mix weightlifting with MMA, and if yes, how so?
Yes, so I do strength conditioning about twice a week in camp, and then out of camp I'll normally do it about two to three times a week as well. But I'll do like I think it's called like condensed conjugate, I'm not sure, but I'll do like upper body strength, lower body speed on one day, and then lower body strength, upper body speed, and then I'll kind of do it like that. But yeah, no, S&C is one of my favourite things to do. I feel like I can just switch my brain off a wee bit and I don't need to constantly focus on like the techniques and stuff. Obviously the technique to weightlifting, but it's not really like the same. Like, I just enjoy it more. I like lifting weights. I feel like it's just fun for me, just ripping heavy weights off the ground and listening to like pure golf tunes. I enjoy it.
So do you train, obviously the 10, is it 10 or 11 during the day with the pros, and then do you lift weights at night then?
So, no. So on Monday, I'll do it at night before wrestling. And then on Wednesday I'll do it straight after the morning session, so it just depends. So I couldn't do it after like a Tuesday or a Thursday because those sessions are just so hard. But it depends on the day. We can normally like sort it out between me and Adam and stuff like that. We can decide what's best for both of us and stuff like that. But yeah, it depends on the day. There's no like one set way of doing it.
Yeah. Right, here's a good one. Brandon Reynolds, I think it is. I can't see his full name. Advice for a 16-year-old fighter. So imagine somebody that's not been like brought up like you. Imagine they're just totally fresh. They're 16. They're maybe a wee bit athletic, and they know nothing about martial arts, and they've come to a higher level. What would your advice be to somebody like that?
Striking is like 90% confidence. It's like 90% confidence. Make sure you're paying attention to detail. Like try and pay attention to like the personalities of good strikers and pay attention to the personalities of people with good grappling and stuff like that. Try and like kind of dissect the differences. But yeah, striking's like 90% confidence. Grappling is just 90% live rounds. Like that's like, of course you need what's it called? Drilling and stuff like that, but grappling's like 90% live. That's where you're going to get all your benefits from and stuff like that. That's where you're going to get like the feeling of resistance. Yes, it's going to be where you learn like where to put your weight and stuff like that. It's just that's king. And yeah, at this stage, at your age, just try and have fun. Get in there as much as you possibly can. Like amateurs nothing. Nobody's going to remember your amateur record.
What was yours?
8-1, but the one doesn't count.
That was that. Was that no like a nations thing or something?
It was a 4 Nations tournament.
What happened with that one? Was that a decision?
Yeah, it was a decision. Which it was a weird one. Like I never showed up for that fight. At the same time, like he never done anything either. Like I never get hit once in that fight. That is a literal stat. I never got hit with one significant strike. I get held against the fence for most of it.
Right.
And it was also the first time I've ever dropped MD in the middle of a fight. So it was a weird one. I still hate it, and I tried to get that fight back a million times. But it was a weird one. I found out I was fighting him 2 hours before I fought him, and he found out he was fighting me a week and a half before I fought him. So
right.
Look, I sound better, which I am. Fuck it, I don't care. I'm better. I don't like it. It annoys me. It's probably going to annoy me till I die.
Well, it would have been a perfect record, I suppose, up to now, because you've not lost in pro, have you?
Yeah, literally. But at the same time, it also took a little bit of pressure off of me.
Aye.
I don't necessarily view it as a loss. Like he didn't beat me, if you know what I mean.
Aye.
Just a couple of
It's a
people.
decision, eh?
Yeah,
Aye.
a couple of people were like, "Oh, I fucking don't know, just pick that guy." Do you know what I mean?
If there's not much in it, aye. Or if it's, like you say, if it's just getting wrestled against the fence,
Yeah.
they're going to score it that way, aren't they?
Yeah. Also, advice for a 16-year-old: pay attention to your hours and stuff like that. Make sure you're getting good hours in. Then that way you know that you're probably getting most out of yourself. Like, say you're doing 16 hours and you're feeling drained, pull it back a little bit. 15 hours, does that feel okay? Yeah, good. Because you don't want to be doing like 12 hours of training when you could be getting 15 hours out of yourself. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Aye,
Like,
yeah.
I think
Just be sensible with your
be
time.
sensible. You don't have to burst your arse every single training session. Like, you should burst your arse, but it doesn't have to be every single time. Like, if you're only getting 10 hours a day and then feeling like fucked after that, pull it back a bit. You should be getting more out. Like, you should be able to get more time in on the mats and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like, it doesn't have to be a grueling session every single time.
I'm sure Adam spoke about this on Leathered when he was on that podcast.
Yeah.
And he says he was getting quite a lot of stick for saying that.
Yeah, it's an old-fashioned method. Like, it's an old-fashioned way of thinking. Like, I've got my wrestling sessions are my hardest session, and then my sparring sessions are hard as well. And I've got 2 to 3 wrestling sessions a week. Sorry, 3 to 4 wrestling sessions a week, and then 2 sparring sessions. That's only like 6 sessions max, really. So only 6 like super hard sessions. The rest of it's between like amber and green. Like, I'm trying to get hours in there. I'm trying to spend as much time getting better as I possibly can. These like 6 sessions that I'm doing are like try to get me used to contact with someone else and staying calm under pressure and making right decisions under pressure and being able to use my energy efficiently and know what to do, when to do it and stuff like that. So the rest of the time I'm just trying to like work on my skills, my technique.
Yeah, that's like really mature way of thinking, like, for being like so young.
Thank you.
I take it that's just down to James, like,
Yeah, literally.
educating you.
Literally the best.
Aye.
I'm like, my thought process on it is I could sit there and do what I want and do what I feel like I should do, and yes, I will probably be right sometimes, but James is going to be right so much more often than me. So as far as being right percentage wise, I'm better off just listening to him. There's another one. There's some more advice. Listen to somebody who's better than you. Trust not on your own understanding.
Get yourself to a gym.
Think of the Lord in all of your ways. And that's a Bible passage.
Aye, well, I think somebody actually asked, that's the next question actually.
Yeah.
Matty Williams, what is your favourite Bible verse and why?
I've actually got like a lot of favourite ones, so it's hard to pinpoint it down to one. But the one that I said there is like a really good one for me. Trust not on your own understanding of things, but trust in the Lord in everything that you do, and He will make your path straight. That's one of my favourite ones. Another one is Exodus 14:14, which is be still. Sorry. All you need to do is be still, and the Lord will fight for you. And that's a good one. That's one of my favourite ones. I say that before my fights all the time.
What does he mean by be still? As in, like, be patient?
Be still. So like how I perceive that personally is a lot of people try and overthink before fights, and it's just a waste of energy. Like, if you're sitting there thinking before a fight, like, it's not going to do you any good. There's literally no point in it. There's nothing that you're going to, like, stress is literally just your body's way of trying to think of a solution out of what you're about to do, or trying to think of a solution to fix what you're about to do. If you're going to go out there and you know that you're going to fight that guy, there's no point in trying to fix it. There's no point in trying to think of a way out of it. You're gonna do what you're gonna go do. Do you know what I mean? So be still. Like, have your brain just shut off. Shut your brain off. The Lord will fight for you. Go do what you're gonna do. There's no point in thinking about it. Thinking about it's just gonna slow you down. It's gonna hold you back. There's no point in it. It's a waste of time.
So what are you thinking about when you're getting your hands wrapped in, or when you're ready
I
to
try
come
and
out?
just stay as calm as possible. I've obviously had the benefit of how much experience I've had now. So I've had a lot of time to be able to adjust and like be able to kind of try and calm myself down. As soon as these thoughts start trying to enter my head, I'll just try and, it sounds daft, I'll literally just try and ignore it. Like, the same as anything, if you have a messy room and you want to, like, you know you should be tidying your room but you're not, you're just pushing it to the back of your head. Like, you can do it with anything, you can do it with that. You know what I mean? You've got chores you know you should be doing but you're not doing them. push it to the back of your head, forget about it. Do it with this as well. It's one of the few times where you're actually better off doing that, just pushing it to the back of your head, because there's no point. It's a waste of time.
Right. Do you get like the fear just like everybody else?
Yes.
Like, what if this happens? What if I can't do this?
110%. As soon as you, like, the best thing to do is realise that there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop that. All you can do is try and minimise it and ignore it. So don't feed, what was it? Starve the doubt, feed the, I can't remember what it was that he said, but it was, I can't even remember the name of the guy, I've had a pure blank, but basically just starve the doubt, don't give it any energy. You're going to think it, but don't be like, oh, I can't believe I've just thought that. Just be like, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Whether it happens or it doesn't. I don't even think whether it happens or it doesn't. I'm literally just, I'll think it and then I'm just like, I won't think any more on it. I'll just try and think about something else.
Once you're in the fight as well, you'll just be tunnel vision.
You can't think anything when you're in the middle of a fight. Recognise that by the time your music starts playing, your mind's going to go blank. So, or if it doesn't, by the time you step in the cage, your mind's going to go blank. Like, you're not going to be able to think anything regardless. Like, you can sit there backstage trying to, like, think as much as you want. By the time you step in there, you're not going to be thinking anything. Like, that's why you get all of these guys that are like, by the time they step into the cage, like, you get a lot of overthinkers and stuff like that, and you can tell when they're backstage they're overthinking, and then by the time they step into the cage, it didn't matter. All that time spent overthinking was a waste of time and a waste of energy, because they're reverting back to their old ways anyway. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes they're not reverting back to their own ways. Sometimes they're just like going in and doing what they would have done anyway, like, because all that time they spent in the gym is now paying off in the fight.
Aye, well, that's why you're drilling everything in the gym, so it's just in your autopilot
That's
for the
literally
fight.
why you do it. That's why you drill. That's why you spend all this time fighting and training in the gym, so is that you don't have to sit there and think about scenarios before you need to, like, 20 minutes before you're about to go out and fight.
What we got next? Right, here's one for you. This is for their last guest, actually, Dean Hepburn, Primitive Evolve. What's your ethos on life? Which we might need Callum to Google that.
Yeah, I don't know what ethos means.
I think I would imagine it would just be like, what's your look on life and what's your...
It's defined as the characteristic spirit of a culture, era or community as manifested in its attitudes and aspirations.
No, I'm even more confused.
I would say just like, what's your take on life? Like,
what's
My take on life: spread the gospel, believe in Jesus Christ. I think, see, when... Honestly, it depends. Everybody's different. I don't think there's... Mine personally is to do what I'm going to do with fighting, and then help as many people as I possibly can. Like, that's something I've always wanted to do. Like, I was always one of those kids, like, when you see those adverts come on, like, the telly, when there's, like, starving kids and stuff like that, I feel like it's horrible. I hate it. It's almost like it's an actual, like, painful feeling I get. So I want to use my platform to help out in that regard and stuff like that. So I'm going to help as much as I possibly can, and I'm going to spread the gospel as much as I possibly can, and lead a life that is as close to Jesus as I can possibly get.
Nice one. I've got a question for you, actually. What do you think your strongest attribute is? Is it, would you say, grappling or striking, or like, or do you think you're completely well-rounded, or?
I'm trying to not give you a pure generic answer, like, oh yeah, I'm completely well-rounded. To be honest, I feel like it is probably the fact that I think outside the box. Like, I can do things like the buggy choke and stuff like that. I can do all these things. Like, I don't think conventionally, but I've got all the conventional basics down. Do you get what I mean?
Yep.
So I've got kind of a good mix of both. So I've got James, who's drilled in the, like, that kind of perfect style of fighting, and I've also got that kind of, like, wacky way of thinking, where I can, like, I can think of stuff on the spot and it tends to work. It's not just garbage that doesn't work. Most of the time when I think of something, it tends to work, or at least I'm able to make it work. So aye, I think mixing it up as well, the kind of the philosophy I gave you on fighting and stuff like that, in regards to, like, I've got an understanding of, I'm not going to let my pride get in the way of my end goal. I'm not going to sit here and trade with, like trade box with a boxer. I'm not going to sit here and, like, entertain a grappler. I'm going to take them to their most uncomfortable place. I've got that understanding, and I don't feel like a lot of people have that understanding, which baffles me.
Where you seem to be really great is when you take them down and then you use is it the Dagestani handcuff you call it, when the hand behind the back?
It's actually how I won my first ever fight,
Was it?
which was like 2018, 2017. So I've done that forever. I seen Khabib do it once, and I just tried it, and then it worked. Yeah, that's again like. There's a couple of little like secrets there as to why I do it and stuff like that I'll not like. That's like some secret ninja shit I'll tell you after if you want. But there's just so many benefits to it, man. Like if I get on top of you, for instance, it's not just as simple as I'm able to hit you and now you're not able to hit me. That's there, yeah, but now you're having to work and now I'm not having to work. I get to relax. So I'm hitting you, you're not hitting me. I'm relaxing, you're not relaxing, and it looks good. I'm winning the fight. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
It tends to be, MMA fighters tend to be more deficient off of their back than they are on top. So even if I wasn't as good as I am on top, it would still be a good idea to take an MMA fighter down and get on top of them, because they're normally like, that's normally what they focus on. It's like ground and pound and stuff like that. Nobody's like able to wrestle up or like sweep or play off their back. Normally it's just like kind of meathead stuff.
Well, you're safer for there as well, because
You're safer from them. Exactly, that's what I
there's
mean.
always the puncher's chance on the feet.
Yeah, I can't get hit, so it tends just to be like it tends to, like, as I say, it's the easiest way to win. That's where I keep taking people. Like that last guy, I tried to take him down at one point, but his centre of gravity was just so low, so I had to change it up. Like the way I fight is dependent on how they fight. Yeah, I will bring my own game, and I don't spend too much time thinking about what they do, but I'm reactive. I'll react to what their weaknesses are, and if I know that you're deficient on the ground, then I'll take you down. If I know you're deficient defensively, I'll stay up with you. It just depends on the person, really.
I noticed you were throwing a lot of knees in that fight as well.
Yeah,
A couple of switch knees.
Yeah, I did get a wee bit hungry for that. See, there's another thing for the 16-year-old. That like, visualization is good, but do not fall in love with it. I had visualized since I'd seen that guy. Since I first watched that guy fight, I had visualised hitting him with a knee. So you get too caught up in trying to get this one thing. Well, yes, it paid off. It deterred him from trying to take me down and stuff like that from distance. So there's pros and cons, but at the same time, it was a time spent me doing something that could have been better off spent doing something else.
Aye. Well, you still dominated those.
Yeah, of course. It's just I'm a perfectionist. When I look at things like that and I'm like, I could have been doing this, you could have done this there, instead of throwing a million knees. I wanted to get him with a flying knee. I wanted to deter him from trying to take me down. And yeah, those are the main reasons as to why I was flinging those knees. I think I caught him with like one like glancing backwards, but I never actually managed to get any off. It was quite like, it was moving back a lot for somebody so short. I thought what was going to happen was he was going to try and like just like head down and try and march me down, and then every time I was going to go in, he was going to try and come in for a takedown or just meet me. But it was very unconventional for such a short guy. He wasn't, his hands were here, and then every time you'll notice whenever I was like trying to attack him, he was leaning back like this, which again I adjusted to in the third round, and that's the right hook I hit him with. That's the reason I flung that right hook, because I wasn't getting the knee. The reason I wasn't getting the knee is because he was literally just going like that, which is the opposite of what somebody that short should be doing. Well, obviously not, because I never caught him with the knee, but you'll find I recognise, yep, so see if you go back a tiny wee bit, I recognise that I know he's going to move backwards. I'm not thinking this in the middle of the fight, yes, so I take a little step to the outside, get a little bit close, and then I hit him. Go back a little bit again, sorry, and then pause it for me.
This is just the highlights, so it's
Yeah.
not perfect.
Right, that'll be why that's why it's happening so fast. But you can see before I hit him, I almost throw like a little bit of a fake, which gets him moving back, and then I can explode forward. So I'm like throwing where his head will be rather than where I thought it would have been originally and where it is. So that first right hook's kind of what rocked him. You don't see it as well in this fight for some reason, but he done a chicken dance. He was like wobbling all over the place. That's why I'm like going so heavy on him, because I could see that he was rocked. Tough guy.
Blood here,
Yeah, tough guy, because
Here it's
fair
coming.
play for taking that.
Here it comes.
That's why I
Bang.
hit him in the body. I actually almost hit him with another left to the head, but there was a moment in time, like a split second moment in time. Again, you're not thinking this, but you're like, I'd be better off hitting him in the body here. Like, he's tough. He's got a tough head. By the time I'd landed 2 or 3 of my best shots on him, and like, again, third round, you're not as strong in the third round, but I'm like, I'm better off just hitting him in the body here.
Aye, you catch him in the liver with that, man.
Bomb! That was a bomb, man. Fair play for taking that.
Aye, that's the liver, eh? You can tell the way he just crumbles.
Yeah. But that's literally the reason I flung that right hook, was because every time I was trying to go for the knee, or every time I was advancing, he was just moving backwards. So because he was moving backwards, I take a little step forward, and then he moves back, and then I explode where his head's going to be rather than where it is.
Aye. And obviously the way you're talking about that there, you're obviously that's you looking back on it, but when you're in the fight at the time, it'll just be autopilot.
You're not thinking all these things. I hate it when people are like, oh yeah, I seen him lower his hand after a jab, so I was like, if I step back and then come in with that, it's a lot of nonsense. Like, there's no way you're thinking that in the middle of a fight. Like, I know I'm good. I don't think like that in the middle of a fight, and I have no issues with saying that. You're not able to think like that in the middle of a fight. If you are able to think like that in the middle of a fight, you're either a genius or you're just gonna get smashed because you're too slow. So like, if you're sat there thinking in the middle of a fight, you're too slow. All these things that I'm doing and recognising are things that I've seen in the gym before and capitalised in the gym before, so my body knows what to do. I'm like, he's doing this, right, do that.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? That's as fast as it is, he's doing that, do that. But it's happening even faster in your mind. Like,
well, you're not even getting a chance to think, it's just happening.
yeah, it's
like,
just I'm
just responding.
It's just slight little things that you're noticing, but it's like subconsciously noticing almost. It's not as simple as, oh, he's doing this, so when he does that, when I move forward like that, he's going to move his back, and then I'm going to explode. It's just, he's moving back, do this, and then I've caught him. So that's about as deep as the thought gets.
Callum, you got any questions you want to ask Sean, actually?
No serious ones.
No serious one.
So,
Well, I don't think we've got any more questions, to be fair, so maybe
yeah.
we'll just wrap it up at that, Sean.
it,
But
yeah.
Sean, listen, mate, I really appreciate you coming all the way through. You've been
I enjoyed the
training.
questions.
You'll be shattered as well for your
Yeah.
training, so thanks for coming, and obviously you're driving all the way back to Paisley as well, so it's been great talking to you, mate.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the questions. They were I really enjoyed the questions.
Good. I just didn't want to make it just boring generic.
Yeah, they were good. I liked them. There was like you could tell you put a lot of effort into like the research on it.
Yeah, I always try and do a wee
Appreciate
bit
that.
of research, and I like to obviously let you vet the questions as well, so
I
there's nothing
appreciate
uncomfortable.
these as well, the hat and the gifts. I appreciate
Aye,
that.
great man. Aye. Well, it's obviously going to benefit the guys as well, so
Yeah, of course.
it's great for everybody. So,
Can we get the sponsors up as well? actually?
apologies. Aye,
No, no
Callum.
stresses. I actually almost forgot that.
Callum was going to bring up the board for us just now, because you've got quite a few, Sean.
I do have a few. Yeah. I'm hoping to get more. There's a couple. People that were saying that they were interested. That I'm hoping I can get.
So if anybody is interested in sponsoring you, how would they contact you?
Just DM me on Instagram or something like that. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the best place to get it, because a lot of people contact my athlete page on Facebook, and I'm like almost never on that. Like, whenever I post something on Instagram, it goes straight to my athlete's page on Facebook.
Right.
So I'd say, yeah, text me on Instagram. These are all my sponsors. If I was not, like, if I didn't have these guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. I would not be able to fund my family. I wouldn't be able to fund my MMA career. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing. I literally owe every hour of training I get is down to these guys.
So who we got here then? Advanced Sports, that's obviously Adam Mosby.
Yeah. Pro Life, that's like one of the gyms that I train out of. It's a gym up my bit. It's very, very like well established gym up that area. Everybody that's from my area knows that. Easton's, he helps me with my car valets and stuff. He helps give me like fund my training as well. Jam Jar helps me fund my training. Abacus, Allure, all these guys are brilliant. Almost all of these guys help me fund my training. Davey obviously gives me free haircuts. More Life, he does my massages and stuff like that.
Rehab
he gives me
stuff, yeah.
rehab stuff every like Wednesday and stuff like that. Bro's brilliant. Eldersley Butchers and stuff like that. That's who I get all my meat off of. Stuff. Place is tremendous. I post about them all the time.
I think I seen you had that on your story yesterday.
Mate,
Or the chicken.
brilliant. But aye, literally, if it wasn't for these guys, I wouldn't be able to put the kind of hours and dedication that I do into it. So
Yeah.
I
One
owe them everything.
is it Riley you've not mentioned?
Riley Reinforcements. Aye, Riley Reinforcements. He's literally one of my Riley Reinforcements and Andy's Golden Fry. They literally again, they're people that fund my training and stuff like that. Like, if it wasn't for them, I fucking would not be as good as I am right now. Because I wouldn't like think about it. How would I be able to like put as many hours as? I can't help but.
How often do you get to enjoy an Andy's Golden Fry?
Fucking not that often, mate. Not as often as I'd like to, anyway.
I could imagine.
Aye. After every fight, I make sure I go down and then take the absolute piss. I take the piss after every fight.
Aye.
I've got a question then. What's your go-to order for the chippy?
For the chippy, there was a what was it? There was a picture of me. Normally, I order more than I should, like more than I think the last time I ordered two black pudding supper, 2 fish, a steak pie, and about fucking 3 ice creams, man.
That sounds class.
I went wild. I went absolutely wild. I'll go to Jam Jar as well after all my, like, me and Lee always go to Jam Jar and stuff like that for my rehydration at night time. You should see the amount I eat there, man, because that's when I'm allowed to eat as much as I want. Is at night, my stomach's all all much better and stuff like that, and then I go to Jam Jar, food's tremendous, and I literally just go mental. Like the last time I ended up having like 2 pizzas and then a side. It wasn't a side, it was a main course of pasta, but that was my side. The pasta was my side, and I was putting the pasta in the pizza and then eating a lot of pasta pizza sandwich.
Eating a pizza and then fighting the next day.
Yeah.
Do you never ever feel like bagged up or anything when you're eating?
No, you need to get as much carbs in you as you possibly can, and pizza's one of the best ways to do it. So like, I'm not having like loads of cheese or loads of meat and stuff like that. Like, the bulk of it is the bread. That's where you're getting most of your carbs and stuff like that from.
Right.
So yeah, like, pizza's probably one of the best things that you can have at night time after you've rehydrated.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have thought pasta definitely, but
Pasta and pizza, yeah. Anything like high in carbs and low in like meat and like different things. So I'll have like an arrabbiata or something like that with the pasta. Then I'll have like pizza and stuff like that. Yeah. I go. It's not as good to sit there and have like super healthy food when you're rehydrating, because a lot of the things that are like healthy are also high in fibre, and if they're high in fibre then your body's not going to be able to absorb it properly. So all these things like pizzas and stuff like that, they're a little bit more complex carbohydrates, but they're not as high in things like fibre, so they're very easy to digest and easier on your stomach at that point in time than something like lots of fruit would be, for example.
aye, because normally fruit's the first thing you're introducing when you start hydrating again, like berries.
Actually, things like Cocoa Pops and stuff like that. It's things that are like low GI or high GI. I can't remember. High GI. So like things really low in fibre but really high in easy to digest carbohydrates.
Aye. Like what is it? Just your hydration drink for the first hour, and then berries and whatever after that. Or you straight to Cocoa Pops after the first hour? Then?
No, so like I get like a wee jelly bar. I've got like a wee jelly bar that it gives me, and then I'll have like what's it called? I'll have a protein shake after that or something like that. I start to introduce different macros and stuff, and then I'll start to eat a little bit like something like Cocoa Pops or something like that.
Aye, is that about lunchtime then?
Yeah.
You're eating properly again?
Yeah, like 2 hours or something like that after I'll start to introduce stuff like that.
Last one for you, anything else? No? Right, great, we'll just sign off with that then,
Cushy, my man.
Like I say again, thank you very much, Sean, for coming
It's my
in.
pleasure, mate.